Do you want to know why chores for kids matter and how to use chores effectively? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting and good communication all over the world through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about chores. So in this video, we're going to talk about why chores matter. Why is it that children do need chores? And if so, how do we use those chores effectively for the children? And then what can we do to help the children even like doing chores? Did you know it's possible for a child to like doing chores? In fact, I have something to share with you that I think may surprise you about why children choose not to like chores a lot of the time. So watch for that surprising fact. I'll try to bring it to your attention as we go along here. So why do chores matter? I think a lot of parents wonder if they should even bother with chores. Their children give them so much pushback, or sometimes they tell the child to do a chore and then it never gets done. And finally the parent just says, you know what, fine, I'll just do it myself. And when they grow up, they'll just have to learn. No one's going to be there to take care of them, and they'll have to figure it out on their own at that point. That is not a good practice, parents, because what you are doing is you are neglecting the training of your children if you do that. They need to learn how to do hard things. Did you know that work is the #1 thing that builds confidence in children? It is. In fact, I've had firsthand knowledge of this as I have trained my own children, my own 4 children. I've also seen my grandchildren now starting to learn to do extra chores and do work. And they do it happily. They're totally fine with it, even starting as little toddlers and even teens, by the way. So for many years, I did therapeutic treatment care for troubled teens. They were all between the ages of 12 and 18. And guess what? I taught them how to work. And at first, they did not like it. Now, years ago in 2009, the BBC made a documentary of our family called The World's Strictest Parents. And in this movie, they brought 2 troubled teens to live in our house for 8 days. So I taught them how to work. The very first thing that I taught them how to do was pick something out of the garden to use in the dinner that we were making. And I remember when I had them pick an onion out of the garden. And I remember Hannah, 17-year-old Hannah, who had never picked anything out of the garden, I guess. And she picked it out and she was like, ew, it's so dirty. This is so gross. And she hated the idea of just pulling an onion out of the ground. Seems so basic, right? But if you don't know how to work and you don't know how to deal with a little bit of dirt, then it could seem revolting and somehow maybe even concerning to you. So by the next day, Hannah was out in the yard pulling weeds with me for hours, because that's just what our family does. And she had chosen to lose her privileges, and so she had to do a lot of work because of that. I'm not going to talk about my whole economy of how I do consequences in this video. I have other videos where I talk about that, and of course I do full trainings of that on the TSG parenting course and stuff. But what I want to talk about is why I do use work. So Hannah suddenly was okay with work. James, who also came for the BBC show, which by the way, you can see this BBC show at the website teachingselfgovernment.com. So be sure to go and find that there, because it's really fun. If you go in the blog tab, it's in the video blog there. It should be right at the top. James also learned how to work, and to the point that he would step back from doing a job and go, Nicholeen, come look at this. Come look what I did. And he'd be so proud of himself. And he said, when I go home, I'm going to clean the bathroom and my mom is going to die. You know, he was so excited about it. Build confidence. So anyway, I am a full believer in work and what it does for people. And I started using work years ago with my own children and with my foster children, and I saw them change in remarkable ways. So #1, when I used work for a negative consequence, soon, because they did so much other work like daily chores, weekly chores, family work, all of these types of things, they didn't feel like work was a problem for them. And so they started to just invent their own work for themselves. And if they earned an extra chore, it was no big deal. They didn't have any anxiety about it because they already knew how to do those jobs. Children get the most anxiety from work when they haven't been properly trained for how to do that work before they're actually required to do it. So work builds confidence, and if you pre-teach the work ahead of time, meaning you actually do the work with your child before your child does it all on their own, that decreases their anxiety too, and they are oftentimes much more willing to accept the work with a willing and humble heart. There's other cool reasons that I use extra chores for negative consequences. I'm not going to talk about that here. If you have a problem with extra chores or work being used with children, keep listening to reasons why work is so important. Another reason why work is so important is that when a person learns how to follow through on a task, they actually become better at problem solving. And this is all of their problems, because basically when you give a child a chore, you are giving them a problem and you are saying, okay, now solve this problem. Now, hopefully you've taught them how to solve the problem so they can go back to that framework that you've trained them with, and they can use the skills that they learned in the past to solve the problem. Once they solve this problem that you've taught them how to solve repeatedly, guess what happens? When they encounter other problems in their life, they start solving the problem without any help. The confidence doesn't just go to maybe getting along with people or being able to do certain jobs. The confidence spreads into all of the problem solving. And the person now feels like there isn't anything that I can't figure out how to do. I know basic things for how to solve problems. So this creates a type of confidence that allows the child to step out of their comfort zone more often, which then creates a braver, more courageous child. I was raised around people on farms who had land and gardens and things like that. And you always knew the children who were raised on the farm and the ones who were raised without any land and without any responsibilities. They just behaved differently. People who hire other people know that too. Oh, you were raised on a farm? Oh, you worked with sheep and cattle and whatever, or you grew things? That shows a capacity to problem solve. People who hire individuals put those types of characteristics and qualities above other people who have just been to school. Solving school problems are just prescriptive solutions for certain problems. Solving regular life problems that come through work and chores make a person a different character. Someone who seems more grounded, more solid, less volatile, oftentimes more calm, because they have worked through these more adult problems throughout their lives. Work does so much for children. It really matters. If you want them to have good character development, then you've got to work with your children and teach them how to work on their own too. Now, when I say work with your children, if you're familiar with this channel, if you've subscribed to this, or if you have been part of my course, the TSG Parenting course, or my other resources, then you probably know that I am an advocate of something called family work. Families who work together create really lasting memories. They also teach the children that it's okay to work. Now, remember how I told you that I was going to share something with you that might surprise you? Well, here it is. The parent's attitude about work and willingness to engage in work directly impacts the child's attitude about work. So if you have a child who doesn't like work, you need to ask yourself, how do I talk about work in front of the children? Do I go, oh, okay, I just have to do this one more thing, or fine, I'll do it? Because that actually shows that you don't like work and that most people around them are not going to like work too. But if you have a willing heart to help other people, you're more service-oriented, you engage in work in a way that seems like you're grateful for the opportunity to do that work, that actually transforms your child's attitude about work. And if you take it a step further and actually do the work with the child and have happy memories with the child doing the work, you're having conversations, you're laughing, you're problem solving together as you do those tasks, then your child is learning that work is a good thing. It's part of a happy life. It's you that gets to teach that most of all. So there are different ways that I use work or chores with my children. So they always had their daily chores, certain things they had to do. Think of the usual things: make the bed, clean the room, brush your teeth, get dressed, okay, those types of things. But then there's also the dinner chore. Maybe they are on cook dinner, maybe they're on clean up for dinner, maybe they're on counters, maybe they're on clear table, maybe they're on sweep floors, maybe they're on load the dishwasher. It depends on how many children you have in the house, right? But they're going to be on some aspect of dinner cleanup and maybe also on dinner preparation that night. They're also going to have weekly chores or things that we do together weekly. Then we also had, as a family, daily work time. I tried to do at least 30 minutes of family work a day. So this was a time where we all worked together on one specific thing. And sometimes it was 30 minutes, but sometimes when we were in garden growing season, it was hours a day. And they knew that they just had to do family work. That was part of being part of the family. No one was going to get paid for work at our house. And if you want to hear more about that, I have other videos on the YouTube channel about earning money and paying children allowance and stuff like that. And you can hear what we did about money and not money. And we definitely did not pay our children to do their chores. They just did those things as part of the family. And they learned that this is okay, a regular part of family life. Then sometimes I would give my children instructions. So if you're familiar with the teaching self-government things that I teach, then you know that there's a skill called following instructions. And when a child is given an instruction by parents, they need to do the task immediately. That's one of the 5 steps of following an instruction. So that means they're going to be doing chores or jobs or things whenever instructed as well. They have to be completely willing to do that. And of course, if they can't at the time or they feel like there's a trouble, they can always use the other teaching self-government skill, which is disagreeing appropriately. But then there's this other way that I use extra chores, which is as negative consequences. So when a child earns a negative consequence, they earn an extra chore. And this is because work is the antidote for a sick character. So I had something in my home called a job jar. And in the job jar, you would pick jobs out of the jar if you earned an extra chore. You would pick out, you never knew what it was you were going to get. It could be something super easy and quick. It could be something that might take a little bit more time. And if somebody pulled out a job out of the job jar that was not at their level, then we might put it back in and pick something else. I actually have a job jar for you for free, but it's not an actual jar. I'm not going to send a glass jar to your home with slips of paper in it. In fact, I'm going to send you something infinitely better that has way more jobs in it than I ever had in one of my job jars. I have created the Teaching Self-Government app. And on the Teaching Self-Government app, there is a job jar function. So not only do you get free education on the Teaching Self-Government app, and you can join with the Teaching Self-Government support group, but you get a job jar function for free. You can type in your children's names, their ages, you can look for how long you want a job to take. You click Get Job and it gets you one. And then you can just tell the child to do it, and it will time it too, because it knows how long that type of a job should take for children. It is an invaluable resource that I'm providing to parents who've been asking for it for years. Work does matter. Jobs matter. Chores matter for children. They help the child become a better version of themselves. So use chores in your daily life and don't be afraid of the pushback. If they are pushing back, I can help with that too. See the TSG parenting course, see my other resources, go to the support group, because you can get a lot more help for when they do push back. I can teach you how to correct them in a calm and effective way. But soon they won't push back. They'll just say this is part of regular life, and you'll just raise strong, confident workers who everybody wants to hire and be around because they're different in a very good way. So go find the Teaching Self-Government app today on your phone, quick and easy. It's free, and get some extra help for your family. I'll see you there.